Everyone needs to know what just happened in LA, the city that is supposed to be a cultural beacon of progressive ideals that fuels creativity, fashion, imagination, expression. There is no authentic creative industry without the freedom of speech, and we do not have that here in LA. The mayor and city council of LA are simply the public faces of a city run by a cartel. The other day, the Police Protective League, the PPL, the union for the LAPD, threatened to sue the city, the people of LA, if city council passed the Charter Commission's Police Accountability and Reform recommendation for the November ballot. The Charter Commission spent over a year listening to thousands of constituents. They didn't originally have police reform as a part of the charter, which is wild.
I just want to thank you for your leadership. The way that you are treating every single person who is speaking here is disappointing and discouraging. I see. Wow. I shall continue. Commissioners, the community and country are at a breaking point. The fact that you are closing this microphone to your own people who are dying on the streets is a disgrace. That's right. I am a pastor and a leader in this community, and I am disappointed in the kind of people who are trying to sit and lead this city. It will take the
We don't need the police.
You have 3 people left.
Instructed by the chair to have the room cleared.
What? It's already been 6 minutes. Just give them time.
So we're going to clear the room.
It's over. Step back.
This meeting has ended now, definitely.
No justice.
No peace.
No justice.
No peace.
No justice.
No peace.
This city has done everything possible to protect the LAPD, to allow them to terrorize the people and drive them into poverty. The charter was the one way we could begin to change that. The committee tried every way not to include police reform, but the people of this city made it impossible for them. That's how many people showed up demanding LAPD accountability be written into our Constitution and sent to the ballot. Thousands and thousands. All right, I'm at City Hall. There's a massive line. It goes around the block, it doubles back. The entire council chambers are full, apparently. There's also an overflow room. People got here 2 hours early and it still was full, so people are not being allowed in anymore. So naturally, LA City Council just publicly voted that after years of study and testimony from the people of Los Angeles, they could not allow anyone, including themselves, to have any authority to set policy or provide any oversight over LAPD, not without more study. The decades of study are enough still.
I am deeply disappointed and that after months of having a conversation through the Charter Reform Commission, here at Council through rules, and now in Council. And by the way, this item passed City Council just a few days ago, that we are now saying we're going to move this to committee. This is an issue of all the things that have come out through the Charter Reform Commission. That was the #1 issue that was discussed by the public. When folks came and discussed how they wanted to see their city change, this was #1. It's been discussed, investigated, legal analysis, and just the last time that this issue came up, there was one concern, and that was a concern brought up by Mr. McCosker about whether this required a meet and confer. Well, that has also been answered, and it's very clear to me that it does not. What's the holdup? Why the delay? Why are we holding back the city from making progress? I do not want this to go to committee, and I hope that this is something we can put on the November ballot so that the voters, the residents of the city, can have a say whether they want to grant and clarify that this council indeed has the power to set police policy.
Colleagues, please, I urge you, let us put this in front of the voters this November. And who knows, the voters might say, no, we don't want this. And then all y'all can say, we told you so. Or it could give us an opportunity to move this city forward so that we can establish general policy. No one's trying to get involved in disciplinary actions, the operations. No one's trying to tell anybody when they can use a gun or not. You know, LAPPL is going to do what LAPPL does, which is they're going to always threaten lawsuits. They're going to sue us. They're going to say that they're going to invest in campaigns. And they will always do that. The chokehold that they have on this body is wild to me. We literally started going broke because of the promised raises. Like, there's so many things that we just continue to give and give and give. We are just asking for a little bit of a voice at the table in drafting ordinances that will make the department better serving for our city. No one wants to create more opportunities for liabilities. We don't want to keep paying out lawsuits because of the LAPD. Please, Give the voters the opportunity to give us a voice at the table when it comes to certain LAPD policies. And yes, like LAPPL in their letter wrote, this will bring more accountability.
They voted 8-6 to kill the LAPD accountability ballot measure. City Council doesn't have any authority in regards to LAPD. Currently, City Council cannot do anything to address the hundreds of millions of dollars in lawsuits LAPD is costing the city. Liability payments for brutalizing protesters, using illegal weapons on civilians, violating people's constitutional and civil rights, all of which is actively bankrupting the city and defunding the communities who do pay taxes, but they are no longer getting services from the city except being policed and criminalized. LAPD doesn't pay anything ever.
Currently, the LAPD is facing $400 million in settlements against them for civil rights violations and officer misconduct. That number is expected to rise exponentially after their actions this summer. Currently, there's no incentive for the department or the officers to hold one another accountable since these massive settlements are paid out using our tax dollars, and it doesn't come out of the LAPD budget, which forces the city to cut much needed programs that help our communities and combat issues that lead to crime and poverty. The LAPD is currently defunding Los Angeles with these settlements. My question is, do you think LAPD liability payouts should come out of the LAPD budget as opposed to the general budget for LA as they do now?
Let me just say that, one, I think the liabilities related to LAPD are extremely high, and that needs to be dealt with. You might be interested to know that the majority of the lawsuits are LAPD suing LAPD. The dollar amount is use of force, but I'm sure, Catie, where your dollar amount comes from. I mean, if it was $400 million, we would be bankrupt. So that I don't think that, well, I mean, I know that that is not an accurate number.
Well, I did get that number from LA Public Press, and it's according to
400 million, is that what you said?
To LA Public Press. It was published.
Yeah,
It was published, but that was according to the controller of LA, Kenneth Mejia.
Was that, but was did I hear you right, that it was 400 million?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. I just say that that's not accurate.
That's
I'll talk
according to the
him.
controller of LA.
Yeah, I see.
In his words, we are bankrupt. We are facing bankruptcy because of these settlements.
Bottom line is that we have to fund. LAPD has to have a budget. So if we were to take out hundreds of millions of dollars from their budget, you know, I don't know how we would actually be able to function.
You're mad about streetlights, potholes, the unhoused crisis. LAPD is responsible. These settlements don't come out of their budget. It comes out of whatever was left to fix the lights and build a park.
This is Catie Mejia, your city controller, here to explain to you all in 90 seconds how the city of Los Angeles went broke. Let's start in fiscal year 2024. So the mayor and a majority of city council, with the help of the CEO's office, budgeted a high revenue amount. And when the city of LA budgets a high revenue amount, they spend up to that revenue amount. And so what ended up happening in reality is that the city of Los Angeles actually collected $222 million less compared to what was budgeted for. Now, in addition, there were a few city departments that overspent. They were overspending over their budget by a lot. In addition, there were also record level liability payouts, mainly by a few departments who made up the most. And when you combine the less than expected revenues, the overspending by a few departments, and the liability payouts, that is a recipe for a financial disaster, which is what we saw and which is happening now. Now, what did the city of LA do to cover that revenue shortfall and that overspending? The city of LA ended up taking money from the reserve fund to cover that. In addition, they also ended up cutting the budget of many departments to fund those few departments and to cover that overspending as well. Now, this fiscal year, we're paying out record level liability payouts and there's no more money to cut from other departments. Now we're looking to borrow money.
Look, a lot of you came to know me from this clip at LA City Council last year.
Do not start my time until I have everybody's attention. Nope, you restart that. I took off work. You guys work for us. And nobody is paying attention. Hi. You work for us. And we have a comment. We need you to listen. I understand that this is typically like your job is Parks and Rec. That is not what this is right now. We are in a state of emergency. The actual mayor declared that. And we are here asking you to pay attention.
That was August 2025, and things are worse now than they were in LA a year ago. When I showed up to city council that day, LA was under attack by our federal government. We still are, by the way. That has never stopped. ICE was violently beating and kidnapping hundreds of people, and nobody knew what to do at the time because we were the first to be attacked. None of these networks we now have set up across the country had been set up yet. Nobody knew what to do. City council went on summer break and City Hall put up barricades. The community members trying to help were being absolutely brutalized by our local law enforcement, and there was nowhere we could turn to for help. A year later, there's still nowhere we can turn for help.
I can't help but notice how much more police occupy these halls and these federal government buildings than a year ago. There's no money in the budget to help the communities who have been devastated by the fires by ICE, but there's endless money to intimidate anyone who dares show up and ask you for help. You are about to vote on a budget that defunds the services in the communities that need help now more than ever. About 70% of the city is low income or hanging just above the poverty line. We are a year in and the air smells like fire again, and ICE and the federal government are still occupying our city. Nothing has changed. For a year, myself and hundreds of others have given testimony about the horrors happening in the city committed by ICE and LAPD. The loss of our constitutional rights and the poverty people are being pushed into, and nothing has gotten better. It's gotten worse. It's been erased from the public consciousness, and you guys are actually a part of that.
General?
We aren't just a city. We are the largest city in the state with the 4th largest economy in the world. And for the last year, I have watched our local government bend the knee to the federal government under threat of the military coming back into our city. No matter what you do, they are coming for us.
The only thing that's changed is how many of us have been arrested and are very likely on domestic terrorist watch lists. I have been showing up to city council sometimes 3 days a week for the last year. That's where I learned about the Charter Commission. In the middle of a fascist takeover by the federal government, the city of LA was rewriting its constitution. LA had the chance to leave an indelible mark in history, showing that here in this city, you matter. Regardless of race, religion, income, you matter, and this city will protect and care for you because we are a democracy that is structured around the people, not the consolidation of power. But LA didn't do that. City council killed every single reform that would help the people of the city and provide any sort of oversight and accountability to those who break the law.
Colleagues, look, I want to be real with you. I'm going to be honest with you. I have never been more embarrassed to be a member of the city council. The charter reform process represented years of work by the community, members who fought to make this city more democratic, more accountable, and more responsive to the people we serve. And what do we say as a city council? That the status quo is working just fine. Don't ask for more. Don't give voters a chance to decide. Every significant charter reform was killed by this body. Expanding city council, killed. Ranked choice voting, killed. LAPD reform, killed. Strengthening independent oversight and giving strength to our controller, killed. All of these were killed. One by one, this body has killed reforms that would give Angelenos a greater voice in their own government. And then somehow we stand here and claim to be representing the people while refusing to even let them have a say. That is not representation. That's not democracy. We should all be ashamed of ourselves. Angelenos are not dumb. They're not stupid. They know that our city is not working, that there are real challenges, and they want us to do something about it. But no matter how hard some of us fight on this body, we continue to remain the status quo. But you know what? That demand's not going to go away. We've seen what's happened the last few years in this city. And that movement is only growing stronger and bigger every single day. But today, I hope everyone's proud of what we did. But you know what? I'm tapped into those folks out in the street organizing every single day. And we're going to keep organizing, we're going to keep fighting, and we're going to change this city, whether people like it or not.
I went to charter reform meetings for months, waited in lines out in the sun and the heat, waiting to speak and tell Charter Commission how desperately we need things like police reform, how there needs to be some sort of mechanism of accountability for the LAPD, because right now there is nothing. I've heard thousands of people asking for the same things as me, over and over, from every corner of the city. And after a year, not a single one of those issues that would help build trust between the city and the people passed. Thousands of people showed up asking to vote on expanding city council, ranked choice voting, and police accountability. None of them will be on the ballot in November. We even asked that the controller's office be provided more resources so our tax money was going where we voted for it to go, where the mayor said it would go, and any fraud, corruption, that could be dealt with. That's not happening.
We literally found $23 million in fraud that got the CEO of a service provider arrested in January. And right now I have 800 fraud, waste, and abuse claims. And one of them is looking at over $100 million in question right now. And so how can you empower and strengthen this office that does oversight over nearly 45 billion of tax dollars? And that's what we wanted to do through charter reform. But unfortunately, we didn't get as much support as we needed from city council.
Shutting that down, you might as well wear a suit with a sponsor patch, just advertising who owns you, because clearly you're doing something you shouldn't. People with nothing to hide are not scared of Kenneth. The people have been silenced, and it is very clear our voices do not matter and carry zero weight. There has never been a clear sign that the LA government is no different than the White House. I'd argue City Hall, Karen Bass, is working in lockstep with the Trump administration because LAPD absolutely is. Trump loves Chief of Police Jim McDonnell, and Jim happily stands next to him, Kash Patel. They love each other. And absolutely nobody, from the mayor to the governor, has acknowledged that LAPD refuses to abide by state and city laws, much less do anything to protect those they are abusing and exploiting. They've said nothing. It should concern all of you that the chief of police of one of the largest militarized police forces said he's not going to enforce the law, regardless of whether or not it stands. He's not going to enforce it because he doesn't agree with it. That should concern everybody here and every single elected person across the country. Because that means that the chief of police does not believe in democracy. He does not believe that the people have a voice. Because we elected people to pass those laws. And by not enacting that law, not enforcing any of them, it silences us. You made a mistake. You made a mistake. Chief McDonnell, you made a mistake. You guys blew your cover. This idea that the police, that by the way, you only really tried to sell to white people, it should concern you that somebody like me has given up their entire life to show up. I will not do anything, it is my fucking mission, to show this city what the LAPD is doing. They are a cartel. Gavin Newsom hasn't done anything to protect the people of California or our constitutional rights. He has produced TV moments to make people believe he is doing things. Here's the truth nobody will talk about. LAPD is accountable to absolutely nobody. Not city council, not the mayor, definitely not the people who live here, not even the governor of California. That is, of course, unless Gavin approves of what LAPD is doing and also wants them to be the measuring tool implemented across the country when he's president. If that's true, America, you need to flood the streets right now because nobody's safe.
The goal of de-escalation is to reduce the tension of a situation and trying to reduce harm from happening. But tear gas is not reducing harm, it's inflicting more harm. And also the rubber bullets, those are inflicting more harm. I've seen cases where people's testicles have been blown off, their fingers have been blown off, and this is serious. And last question, Council President. Now, after the raids, after the first few protests that were occurring, some of us met with the Board of Police Commissioners, and they talked about how there was maybe over 60 cases that were being identified of overuse of force. And so when you say that these tools or weapons are model for the rest of the country, that concerns me because we're about to start receiving all those lawsuits. And lawsuit payouts for LAPD are one of the highest that we experience as a city. So if the model that people are mirroring is one where it's gonna cost their city budget a ton of money, then I think we need to reconsider. I sit on Budget and Finance Committee, and in like a span of 3 weeks, we had like 3 different cases where it was over $10 million for each of those cases. So the taxpayers are dealing with the lawsuits.
LAPD is structured and operates no differently than a cartel. They operate outside of the law. They use force to assert control over the population, beat, threaten the press. Politicians answer to them, and nothing happens without their say-so. LAPD doesn't care if they're filmed breaking the law, brutalizing peaceful, unarmed people, illegally arresting us, and violating our constitutional rights. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They don't care how many liability lawsuits they cost the city, how many lawsuits they need to bring against the people of LA in order to retain power, because they aren't spending their money. They're spending our money. They're spending taxpayer money. LAPD is happy to bankrupt the city. It's good business for them. They don't want a safe, economically happy, healthy city. That is not their job. Their job is to protect and serve. It specifically doesn't say who they are here to protect and serve, and that's important. LAPD is the cartel in charge of making sure the Corporation of Los Angeles stays profitable, and their profits come from keeping a system of poverty and human trafficking in place. There is $1 billion industry built around poverty and the for-profit prison industry complex, and that is built with our tax money. We pay LAPD salaries. We pay for the social services people need when they are forced into poverty. We fund the homeless shelters and the programs that people need. We fund emergency organizations needed to deal with the various crises. And nothing ever gets safer or better for anyone, ever. Why? Because the system is working perfectly for those it actually serves. The money never actually gets to the people that need it. We fund our own bankruptcy, incarceration, our own oppression. And the LAPD sponsors, who use the LAPD Police Foundation, by the way, to do this, they make billions in profits along the way. LAPD and their union, they serve weapons manufacturers, surveillance and data companies, the for-profit prison and detention industry complex who need an endless stream of bodies. The asset management companies, private equity firms like BlackRock, the real estate investment trusts, everyone who owns all of the homes and rental units, the land, the corporations that that land sits on. That's who runs this city. That's who LAPD protects and serves. No matter what you're upset about in the city, streetlights to the unhoused crisis, the original source of your outrage begins with the LAPD. It's not even a question for debate. It is a proven fact. Please get to know Kenneth Mejia, our city controller, his Instagram, the city controller website. It's incredible what he's done. He has created a very easy to use program which shows you where every single dollar is going and who is spending it. He's brought incredible transparency to City Hall, and he has fought like hell to continue to do so for the city. It says a lot that City Council and charter reform have attempted to take responsibility and resources away from the controller's office after Kenneth found hundreds of millions in fraud, waste, and abuse. Over $10 million was spent trying to unseat Kenneth, which is incredible, not only because he did win. In spite of that, he only spent like $100,000 doing it. The people want transparency and accountability. It'll win every time. The point of origin for nearly every problem in this city starts with LAPD. Just follow the money. They are not here to create safety. They're here to create criminals out of the poor and to make wealthy people feel unsafe by the poverty that has been created, brainwashing people into conflating poverty with criminality. This city takes the tax money from vulnerable communities, and instead of investing it into parks, community centers, after-school programs, social services, third spaces for kids, teenagers, their money is given to the LAPD to police them, and that's it. The basics people in an average, mostly white, wealthy, even just like middle-class neighborhood take for granted, things you would never even think are a privilege. Vegetation in your neighborhood, trees, shade, clean parks, trash cans, grocery stores, places to ride your bike or gather, all of that is withheld from these communities while you complain about unhoused encampments near your neighborhood. And I get it, it's incredibly upsetting to see someone living on the street, but the unhoused aren't the problem. If the unhoused population makes you feel unsafe, let's break it down. People don't choose to be homeless. Everybody wants a safe place to live. If someone is on the street, then that was done to them. If there were actually safe, helpful social services available to them, they likely wouldn't be on the street. No matter how hard you work in the city, people are criminalized for not making enough money, even though nobody has any control over what they get paid or the cost of things like rent, groceries, gas, healthcare, taxes. The LAPD defunds all services and social safety nets that would help a person in crisis, which forces people onto the street, which this city has turned into a crime, thus making them criminals, and now new bodies to send into the system that profits off their suffering. We punish poverty and enslave our poor. It's incredibly easy to fall into homelessness without privilege or access to power. The unhoused, the low-income class, the LAPD and politicians tell you they are keeping you safe from. They are victims, and their perpetrators are the ones telling you they are the good guys who will protect you from these victims they have created. It's like taking safety advice from the guy holding a knife to your neck. All of it has been done to them by those sponsoring the LAPD, by those who are donating to Karen Bass and Spencer Pratt's campaigns. It's the same exact system and structure that allows the Jeffrey Epsteins of the world to operate without accountability. His victims were called prostitutes. They were 11, 12, 14 prostitutes. There is no such thing as a child prostitute. Just like being poor and living on the street does not make you a criminal. Look, this is not about defunding the police. It is about being honest about where money for policing is coming from and how it's actually spent. Nobody has an issue with anyone actually keeping us safe. We have been asking for that for a year. But I'm telling all of you, as a privileged white girl, I don't care who you are, unless your family has a ton of money, LAPD has absolutely no interest in protecting you. That is not their job. I have watched LAPD stand and guard an empty street and let a man die, just so ICE didn't have to look at protesters with signs. The officers never moved. They didn't show any concern. A guy on a motorcycle was in a horrible accident on the 101 in downtown LA, and they didn't do a damn thing. We begged them for help. I begged them to at least redirect traffic so he wouldn't be run over and ambulances could get to him faster. Not our jurisdiction, they said. They barely looked at us. That's the only thing they said. Guarding a federal facility so that human traffickers could move women and children in body chains to undisclosed locations, that's what they're here to protect.
Where could that possibly even be coming from? It's too clear to be from inside. I've heard help very clearly, multiple times.
Does anyone need help?
Keep yelling!
Nazis! We can hear you, kids! You nice Nazis!
I hope you never have another peaceful night of rest. I hope these screams haunt your dreams.
I hope you fucking die miserable death.
Think of your own children. Think of your own families. If this is how they were being treated, would you still be defending this? We're here for you. There will be justice.
Viva México! Viva los Latinos! Viva raza! No más.
They want to cover up their crimes. We see you. We see you. Women and children are screaming for help.
Sleep bananas.
Assaulting peaceful protesters. They are assaulting protesters. Women and children are in here screaming for help. Women and children. Women and children.
And these city council people voted to let them keep doing all of it. People in LA are watching what's happening to protesters in Prairie Land, Minnesota, Washington. And it's terrifying because we said they were working on this a year ago. We said the feds were doing this. We told LA City Council, we told Mayor Bass, we told the press, we told everyone, and they ignored us. I watched the federal government work out their plan on how to attack First Amendment rights, how to charge people standing in front of ICE vans as domestic terrorists, as members of Antifa cells, right here in LA, in the dark, with zero coverage of any of the cases from any national news outlet or anyone from our local government even acknowledging it was happening. To everyone saying suck it up and just vote for Nithya Raman, she has been silent all year in regards to ICE and LAPD collaborating with the federal government. And that matters. On a national level, that matters. And now I'm watching the LAPD lay the groundwork for the next phase. And it's really scary because everyone is letting them do it. And there's nothing in our justice system to stop them. LAPD is turning everyone that doesn't align with the Trump administration's ideology into criminals. Expressing your First Amendment rights, looking out for your neighbor, delivering groceries, filming a kidnapping, alerting the community to the presence of ICE, whatever being a good neighbor, a good American used to be, you're probably going to end up with an arrest record. The number of illegal arrests in this city alone is staggering, but you would never know that. Just watch how the arrests are used moving forward. Watch how people's arrest records are used moving forward. There is nobody in this entire LA city government that can or will stop them when city resources are deployed under the guise of community safety.
All right, I am leaving the protest. Then there is a drone following me home. I'm gonna see how long it stays. One of those white drones followed me directly over my head from the protest, about 3 blocks to Union Station. And then it just peeled away. Yeah. But it was directly overhead, like directly over my head. Maybe it's a coincidence. I don't know. It stopped when I stopped at the crosswalks, and it moved when I moved at the crosswalks, so. Everyone is just pretending like none of this is happening. I'm gonna feel a lot differently in a couple years.
When LAPD launches a drone from LAPD headquarters to follow me as I leave a protest, after they've already illegally arrested me at a previous protest for documenting just what the federal government was doing. When this has become normalized, because it's normalized here. I don't believe anyone in a position of power is fighting back or looking out for the rights of Americans or Angelenos. I don't. I need the people of LA and those who are willing in City Hall, on City Council, to take a stand, get angry, get out in the streets, get loud, and forget whatever rules there are for re-election. Anyone approaching elections like a politician does not understand the assignment. They don't understand. You don't understand the assignment. Karen Bass started out as a community organizer, fighting for the rights of the very people she is now silencing and sending to prisons and detention centers, all because she will lose power if she does the right thing. That ideology, in my opinion, that's what's harming our country more than anything else in this moment. People who negotiate their morals in order to stay in or next to power, that's dangerous. That's everyone around Epstein, Weinstein, Trump. I would rather vote for someone willing to risk it all in order to help people, rather than someone who isn't willing to lose their access to power if they do what's right.